Good morning from a country I've never visited. Good morning from the city of Dublin, the capital of Ireland. Now, I've finally come to this country, a country which has been on my bucket list actually for a very long time. Somehow I've never made it here. Now I'm here and I've arrived a few hours ago. Haven't eaten yet. I've only arrived at 3 a.m. this morning. My Ryanair flight, which only costs €10, was delayed by 3 hours. So instead of arriving by midnight, I arrived at 3 a.m. I've not slept a lot. I'm shattered. Haven't eaten yet. So yeah, let's start this exploration of Dublin. And yeah, I've heard many good things about Ireland and Dublin in particular, and a few bad things. So, as I haven't got much time here, this is the last stop of this expensive part of this European adventure. After that, we're heading to a lot cheaper areas. So, yeah, let's go for some food, for some lunch. Vamos! Now, Ireland is renowned, and in particular Dublin, is renowned to have great people living in here, one of the friendliest people in the world, and also for its beer culture, obviously. So we'll obviously try out some beer today as we're in Dublin. And on the downside, probably the only downside to Dublin, apart from the weather of course, today it's a sunny day, we're lucky again. Just like in Scotland, we're kind of lucky with the weather again. It's just a bit windy, which is normal, but yeah, the only downside apart from the climate is the prices. It's deemed to be one of the most expensive cities in Europe. Not the country of Ireland, but the city of Dublin. It's renowned to be one of the most expensive in Europe. And we're about to find out how expensive Ireland really is. I'm not here in one of the most centrally located areas. I'm staying in an Airbnb, which is in the outskirts, well, like a 20-minute walk from the center, because the hostels in the center were all too expensive. Hostels cost between 40 and 50 euros a night, which is horrendous for hostel prices, and which is why I've chosen to go to an Airbnb, which costs about 30 euros a night, like $33 a night, not in the center. And yeah, it's not a cheap place. And one thing which I love about Europe, which is pretty nice in Europe, is that we've got Ryanair. Ryanair makes it possible to travel on the cheap. It's, in my eyes, the cheapest flight company there is. On this trip I've had a €20 flight from Luxembourg to London, a €15 flight from London up to Edinburgh, and an €11 flight from Edinburgh to Dublin. The only downside to Ryanair obviously is that they're often delayed. They're not the most reliable of airlines there are, and yeah, yesterday my flight got delayed by 3 hours. Spent 3 hours at Edinburgh Airport. And check out the streets of Dublin. And what is pretty cool here in Ireland is that everything is written in both Gaelic, the language of the Irish, in Irish, and in English. Check it out. Park an Fionnuske, Phoenix Park, Garden na Nachenike, Dublin Zoo. It's an ancient Celtic language, and from what I've heard, not many people speak it, but all the people learn it at school. Like 20% of the population of Ireland speaks it, like fluently. But they really want to preserve that language. It's really important to the people of Ireland to preserve that language, and you read it everywhere. When you arrive at the airport, everything is written in Gaelic and in English, and everywhere else in the city as well. Also, all the official documents here in Ireland are written in Gaelic and in English. Pretty interesting. And apparently this is what my host has told me this morning. You also earn a bit more if you speak Gaelic and if you don't speak Gaelic. Dublin is also renowned to be one of the safest cities. It is even deemed the safest capital city of Western Europe. And yeah, I understand why. There's not a lot of poverty here, not too much poverty here, and they've got one of the lowest criminal rates in Europe, in the EU. So, and it is pretty idyllic here, to be fair, and people are super friendly. Right guys, for lunch I've come to this Spar grocery store here, check it out, where you can have sandwiches, and I've got myself a water for €1 and a massive chicken sandwich, check it out, for $5.50. So that's actually alright. I mean, it's not super cheap, but it's not super expensive. I expected it to be a lot more expensive. So yeah, like everywhere guys, traveling doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, you can save so much money on food. You don't have to go to restaurants, especially in a place like Ireland, like Dublin, which is deemed to be expensive. Yeah, I recommend coming to Spar grocery stores in Dublin. I mean, $5.50 for a sandwich, that's all right, in it. So, I'm going to destroy that chicken sandwich now, and then let's see what Dublin is like. Let's head to the centre and explore the capital of Ireland. The entire UK and Ireland region of Europe is super expensive. I think Dublin is up there with the most expensive cities in Europe when it comes to cost of living. Up there with Swiss cities and Scandinavian cities. I've never been to Scandinavia. And yeah, I can't lie, having travelled a lot through much cheaper regions of the world, I'm really struggling to enjoy these places. Behind me is a very significant building in regards to the dark and bloody fight for the Irish independence from the United Kingdom. A prison turned museum. The Kilmanheim Gaol Museum, formerly a prison of the United Kingdom, the occupiers of the Irish people. After the failed Easter Rising of 1916, 6 years or 5 years before Ireland's official independence, in this prison many of the Irish rebels, as they were called by the UK governors, got imprisoned here, as well as tortured and executed. And right next, right across the museum, the former prison, is a Hilton hotel. These guys are everywhere. Back in Latin America I've met many Irish people, and the Irish are up there with the best you can find in the world, especially in Europe. And right next to the museum, the former prison, is not only the Hilton Hotel and this medieval castle, or medieval tower I should say, but also a pub. So, as Ireland is renowned for its pubs, before checking out the centre, I think we should try out a good Irish beer. Now, I'm not a fan of dark beer, but we're in Dublin and we're not here for a long time, so we've got to check out a good day. You show me the middle finger. What about representation of the Irish people? Right guys, I've come to this traditional Irish pub to try my first ever Irish Guinness. Check it out. Looks different to other Guinnesses I've tried in my life. So let's give it a go.
Not really. You might get it more up north.
It's actually quite good. It's actually better. It tastes a bit different to other dark beers I've had in my life, so it tastes a lot better. So cheers. Cheers to Dublin and cheers to Ireland, as they say here. It cost me a whopping €6.30. In London it was more expensive, I'll tell you this. In London it's more expensive than in Dublin.
Yeah, we went on that tour too.
A traditional Irish pub here in Dublin. One thing about the Irish, it's not tough crossing the street as a pedestrian in Ireland. Here, they're so flippin' friendly, you can just walk across the highway and nobody's gonna get angry. Everyone's just gonna let you pass. It's not like in other countries, where it's just gonna run over you. Yet another example of the importance of the Irish language to the Irish people. At times, you can even only read Irish here in Dublin, check it out. In Omos Don Ait Nafak Lork. No idea what that means, but I guess it means something with throw your dirt away. I mean, it's on a trash bin, and yeah, it showcases the importance of the Irish language here. Also look at the destinations we could go to here, where the buses go to, the stations. Botar Narine, Dumar Thra. The Irish, by the way, also have double-decker buses here in Dublin, but they're not red like in London. Up ahead of us, guys, in the distance, is the Guinness factory. Check it out. If you guys like Guinness, I'm not so much a fan of it, I've got to say. Even though I've got to admit that the one I've tried out just now was better than all the other ones I've had in my life, but I'm not such a big fan of dark beer. I prefer traditional lager beer. Well, here, check it out, guys, this is the Guinness factory. One of the major reasons to come here, drink Guinness in Dublin. We're now about to approach the most famous and probably most touristic area and probably the most expensive area of Dublin, which is the world famous Temple Bar area. Pubs lining the canal has something of Amsterdam in it. Right, guys, we've made it to the famous Temple Bar area here of Dublin. Check it out. It's full of pubs, and it's starting to get colder and colder now. The sun is gone, and it looks like it's starting to piss down again soon. Right, check it out. Ahead of us, guys, is the Dublin City Hall. What is this delicious coffee gonna cost me? €3.25. It's alright actually for a coffee of that size in an expensive capital city of Europe, so it's alright. I expected worse, to be fair. Now this is the nightlife area and the most popular drinking area of Dublin, and also the most touristic one. Loads of tourists around. You hear all sorts of languages around here. Tourists from all over Europe, and also many Americans here. This, guys, is probably the most famous bar of Dublin, and one of the most famous in the world. The Temple Bar. And it's late afternoon right now. We're on a Saturday, and it's already pretty crowded. Shall we check out what a beer costs in the Temple Bar? Let's do it. Come on. Right then guys, the moment of truth has come. I've got myself a beer at the famous Temple Bar here in Dublin. So, what do you think this beer's cost me? It's delicious by the way, it's an Irish Pale Ale. It's pretty good. Smithwick's Irish Pale Ale, pretty good. What you guys think it has cost me? Well, I'll tell you what, it's up there with the most expensive beers I've ever had. €9.75, so $10, over $10 for a beer, for a pint, so yeah. But on the other hand, as you could see before, it's super crowded. Already in the late afternoon, it's super crowded, and it seems not only to be the most touristic pub in town, but also the most popular among locals. There's also many Irish people inside among the tourists, so yeah, great place to spend your night out, I guess. Free beer tasting here at Temple Bar. Incredible. Thank you, mate. This place is massive, guys. We've got like 5 rooms full of bars, like 6 bars. Guys, this might be the end of the video, unless I'll turn the camera back on tomorrow for some reason. I think this could be the end of the video here in Dublin. And yeah, Dublin definitely ain't a cheap place to come. I didn't expect it to be cheap, which is why, just like in England and in Scotland, just like in London and in Edinburgh, I won't spend all the time here. The adventure continues, and in this adventure we'll see both the expensive side of Europe, Western Europe, probably up there with the 3 most expensive places in Europe, the UK and Ireland, and from now on we'll be heading to Europe's cheapest places, and I'll see you guys in the next video, in the next country. I'll let you guys guess in the comments where I'll be heading. But to conclude, Dublin has its ups and downs. I mean, the weather ain't great, could be good for a few minutes, then it's pissing down in the next few minutes. So make sure to come here in the summer. Summer surely is a lot better. And it's super expensive. It's not as expensive as London, but not a lot cheaper. But great people, absolutely great people, and a nice place to go out, as you can see. I reckon a visit to Temple Bar surely is worth a weekend trip to Dublin. So, cheers to Ireland, and thanks for watching, guys. Love you all. My finances definitely need a break after this. So, I'll see you guys in the next country. Thanks for watching, and cheers to Ireland. See you soon, guys, in a much cheaper place.